Hello Power Rangers fans and welcome back to Toku Topics. Today we're going to be discussing the first 3 episodes that have aired so far for Power Rangers Dino Fury. Kind of just give my thoughts on it, as our new season did just start a couple weeks ago on Nickelodeon. The reason why I thought it would be a good time to do this now is because we've had the first 3 episodes air, so we've kind of gotten a good feel for the series for a little bit here. And next weekend will be the usual annual Nickelodeon Kids' Choice Awards, so because of that there will not be an episode next weekend, so we're going to have to wait 2 weeks for episode 4, so we're going to have that little tiny break, so I figured I might as well cover the first 3 episodes here while we have to wait a minute. So I'm going to go ahead and let's get right on into it. So Dino Fury so far has been pretty fun. Overall. So obviously, if you don't already know, Dino Fury is the current Power Rangers season number 28, airing at 8 a.m. on Nickelodeon on Saturday mornings, and following the same time slot that Beast Morphers had and everything. Ever since the Hasbro era has started, we've had that time slot, and it is of course an adaptation of the 43rd Super Sentai series Kishiryu Sentai Ryu Soldier, which aired from 2019 to 2020. So we just wrapped that up, like a year ago around this time. So it's, one of those seasons where it's like not too far after its Sentai adaptation and things like that. But let's actually take a look at Dino Fury so far. So we've had, like I said, the first 3 episodes. The music is one thing I'm going to mention now, because it doesn't really have much to do with the plot and stuff. But the music is really, really good this season, as a lot of people have stated, and they're absolutely right. It has like this techno beat to it that just, it feels like fitting, especially when it plays in the first episode during their first morph in their at the Dino Henge base. It really just works for this show, and is much better than the kind of generic music we had, especially throughout the Neo Saban era. And so it's really great to see that we have this. We actually have a new composer on the series, which I'll put his name up here. It escapes me right now, but honestly, knocking it out of the park. The theme song, at first, when we first heard it, because they revealed it during the Fan First Friday during February 12th, that's when they kind of dropped that. At first, I wasn't a big fan of it, but I can't lie that the Revolution, Evolution, I like that. Part is really fun, and so it gets stuck in my head, and it's starting to grow on me. It's not my favorite theme by far. I definitely still think I prefer the Beast Morphers theme to the Dino Fury theme, but it's not that bad. But let's go ahead and talk about the first episode. This episode was one of those Power Rangers premieres where it used really basically no Sentai footage whatsoever. The only shot of Sentai footage that I recognized, besides the intro and everything obviously, was when they had the whole flashback to 65 million years ago, and we saw that one brief 2-second clip from the Ryu Soldier penultimate episode, where it had all of the Kishiryu behind them, and Gold there, and all of them with their armors, and Max Russo red. I don't know why they decided, yeah, let's put that shot in from, I think that's from Ryu Soldier episode 47, and they decided, yeah, let's just throw that in here. So, I mean, it works for the context of what they were explaining, because there's this pre-established Dino Fury team. This is not our first Dino Fury team, it's this is the new generation of it, and so Zato is explaining his old team, and it makes sense that they would be fully decked out with powers and things like that. So I can't wait to see us get to that point. And I think they used it just well enough to the point where kids and stuff would be oh, there's a Gold Ranger, or look at all that armor and Zords and stuff, and be excited to see it. Because it was very quick. They didn't dwell on it or anything like that. Which is something that was really cool about what they did with just Gold in general. Because when we had that kind of flashback to 65 million years ago, Gold's there. Kind of plain as day. I mean, they don't focus on Gold being there whatsoever, but because they kind of block it when the Morphomasters come out, you can kind of see Gold there, and then they're standing in that group shot when they're talking to the Morphomasters or whatever, and Gold is just perfectly kind of blocked by a Morphomaster, so you don't really see Gold, but you can tell Gold is there. And I guess if we're talking about the old scene with the Morphomasters, I guess we got to address Skirtgate, which is this ridiculous controversy, I guess, or outrage or whatever, about the fact that in the flashback, they give Dino Fury Green a skirt, and in present day, we won't have a skirt for Dino Fury Green, because if you don't know, in the Sentai, Russo Green was a male, and we're making Russo Green a female over here. We haven't seen Green yet, but when she does show up, she won't have a skirt, because the Sentai footage doesn't have a skirt. and they added a skirt to the original footage back from the 65 million years ago scene. So I understand that that's kind of weird. I don't understand why they decided to even bother with that, but I don't understand why it's such a big like outrage or controversy over it. Like, I think it's cool that they shot that original footage, so yeah, go ahead and add it in your original footage. I know it won't be in the present day footage, but I don't really need it to be. But overall, the first episode was very solid. So we were introduced to our core 3 members of the team, Zato, Ollie, and Amelia. So obviously there's just a lot of fun here. Zato's not in the first episode all that much. He kind of just shows up because he's like in a stasis like pod. He's frozen or whatever, and he gets waken up by Zolan, who, you know, when the base gets attacked, because Ollie and Amelia have kind of found their way into this base, because there's like this Dinohenge statue monument thing. It's like Stonehenge, but dinosaurs in the middle of the forest here. And then we have Void Knight, who is looking for the Sporks, and they are inside of their base. And then there's a whole fight in the base. Really, really good fight. And the base itself is really, really cool. You have like this big like pedestal that has all the Dino Fury keys on there, so you can see a lot of like the future power-ups and stuff on that tower. We don't really have a really good explanation as to like why the main armors from Ryusoulger keys aren't used yet, but I'm sure they're going to explain it somehow or some way. So that's really, really cool. And then one thing that was really, really great about this fight scene was that the henchmen, which are like the regular, you know, generic grunt soldier guys from Ryusoulger or any Power Ranger season really, so they're actually like training robots for the Dino Fury team. And then they use the key, Zolan throws the key to them, but then Void Knight catches it before they can get it, and he takes control of the henchmen, and now they're working for him. And that's why we'll have this army of, you know, soldiers for the Rangers to fight all season. And they actually created like a new Russo looking key for that. Hopefully we get a figure of the henchmen so we can get that kind of key, even though it would be like kind of not very good Hasbro keys, but you know. One thing about Void Knight though is that I'm very, very happy that we have made the decision to make Void Knight our main villain for right now, because Void Knight uses the Geisolg suit from Ryusoulger, and which is a really cool suit, which is obviously this final figure of it right here. And in Ryusoulger, the suit does not appear all that often. It was used maybe, I don't know, 5 episodes, 6 episodes, something like that. It does not appear very often. And so far in Dino Fury, everything we've seen of it has been original footage. I mean, they've used it every episode. Not so much in the 3rd episode. He only appeared for 1 scene in the 3rd one. But for the first 2 episodes, he was in it a lot. And so it was really, really great to see more footage of this awesome suit. And I can't wait for the basic figure that we'll be getting in the summer. Because the vinyl's cool, but I want like an actual action figure, you know? So, I guess moving on to episode 2, is that they used the fart key, which of course you would think would be a prime opportunity for comedic effect. But the fart key is actually used to kind of like neutralize the Sporks beast. And of course there's antics where it's like, oh no, we kind of smell it too. But it wasn't like they used it purely just because, oh look, farts are funny. They used it as like they tried to actually have an actual goal with using that key. So it was really cool to see that happen. And episode 2 is really where we kind of have our first like Sentai footage fight. That whole fight with the fart key was used, or at least some of it was used from Ryusoulger, and all that stuff like that. And also episode 2 is what introduced us to Mucus, which is kind of our like main general alongside Void Knight. She's really fun. She was a fun character from what I've seen of Ryusoulger, and so it's cool that we have, you know, we adapted her character over here. And so she's kind of just like bumbling around with Void Knight, and Void Knight doesn't really seem to care either way that she's kind of here. She's just kind of here. But they're all after the Sporks. I mean, everyone's after the Sporks, which are like these little, like, they kind of look like, I don't even know, these weird like jelly monster things. And they flew all over the city, and they become the monsters randomly. So there's like a Ranger hotline, which is where this amazing meme picture has come from, where people can call and be like, oh, I spotted a Sporks and things like that. And then when the Rangers defeat them, actually, they become stronger. So they turn back into like their jelly form. But then for whatever reason, they become stronger after they get defeated. So Void Knight is actually kind of waiting for the Rangers to defeat the Sporks and kind of just waiting in the sidelines to come down and pick it up. Which he did do in episode 2. He got to the Sporks before the Rangers could. But in episode 3, the Rangers got to it before he could. So I think we're going to have this like back and forth like, oh, this week Void Knight will get the Sporks, or the Rangers will get the Sporks. And we're kind of waiting to see what Void Knight's going to do with it. He's set up base in like this old warehouse where he's kind of collected the new Spork remnants or whatever. So we'll see what comes of that. But One thing interesting about Void Knights is in the first episode, Zato asks, "Where did you get that armor?" So if you know anything about Ryusoldier, there is a connection between Gaisolg's armor and the Max Ryusol Red power-up that he will get later on. So I wonder if they're going to do any kind of connections to explain kind of why the suits look somewhat similar, or if there's something there. Maybe Void Knight's suit is like a corrupted version of Red's power-up or something. We don't really know. We don't know who Void Knight is, if there is someone underneath that armor, or if it is just the armor. We don't know. So there's still a lot of cool questions to, discuss about where did Void Knight come from, all this stuff of 65 million years ago and all this. And then the third episode, the first two are a pretty good, kind of two-part premiere. The third episode was kind of our typical run-of-the-mill Power Rangers episode, but it was still pretty solid. If I had to say, if I had to rank the episodes, it was probably the weaker of the three, but it wasn't bad by any means at all. This episode, basically, there was this message coming from Zato's homeworld, and they're trying to decipher it and everything like that. And so there's they go two different ways of how they're going to try to figure out the message. Because Ollie has his direction and Amelia has her direction, and they do both of them and kind of try to see which one works out better. But this is a pretty good episode for Zato, just kind of seeing more of his character, learning more about his family. We got to see his mother in a flashback and things like that. So it was cool, kind of just, he had some good scenes with Zolan and everything. So it was just cool to see that kind of dynamic and get a little bit more about him since the first chapter. The first episode had a lot of Amelia, the second episode had a lot of Ollie, and this one had a lot of Zato. So it was cool to kind of get everyone here before we introduce our Green and Black Rangers. Probably in the next episode or two, we're supposed to finally start seeing them, which fits to the Ryusoldier footage because Green and Black showed up later on. So, but it was solid. I mean, I liked everything with the Medusa monster. That was fun. The morph. How did I not talk about the morph yet? Because I was just thinking about when they did the morph when they had to not look at her, so they turned her backs to them, and it was really cool. But the morph is really sweet. So first of all, I like the Link to Morphing Grid morph call that we got going on here. That's really cool. And they spin the mouth on the Dino Fury Morpher, which is right behind me. And then there's this space background, and they jump up and they're floating in space as the suit forms, and then the helmet comes this way. Oh, it's really, really cool. I like it a lot. I can't wait to see it for green and black and gold and everything like that. And yeah, that's all we really have from the first three episodes. We do have some fun little hints and everything of it being established into the regular main continuity world of Power Rangers. We have, the fact that they've referenced Power Rangers being on TV. Ollie mentioned we'll probably get Zords because he's seen Power Rangers with Zords and everything. So kind of establishing that Power Rangers are a thing in this world already. And then we have in the second episode the J-Borg robot that Jane has, who's kind of become her comedic duo as of episode 3. J-Borg comes from Hartford Robotics, and if you know anything about Power Rangers and Operation Overdrive, I won't spoil things there, but the last name of the Red Ranger and his father is Hartford. So that is very likely a reference back to Operation Overdrive in that second episode, which is just really cool. I love those subtle world building things to where it's references to other seasons, but it doesn't have to be an inherent cameo from a past actor or character. It can just be something like that, and you can kind of be oh, that's probably what it is. Beast Morpher was pretty good at that early on, with just kind of name drops or just random things. So that was really cool, and I can't wait to see what else we have with that. We know that we're going to be getting a returning character from another season, and with episode 3 ending with Zato sending out a call just to, anyone who receive it, I have a feeling that we're going to see that certain character pop up here really soon. So I can't wait to see what Dino Fury has to offer for the rest of the season. So we have a fun team, we have a fun villain so far, and I'm ready to enjoy this season. So let's see what the rest of it has for us to offer. Well, guys, let me know down in the comments below, what do you think about Dino Fury so far? Are you enjoying it? Did you like Ryusoldier better? I mean, it's only been 3 episodes, so I know it's kind of hard to judge the whole thing, obviously. And what do you want to see happen with the show? And of course, you can follow me on Twitter at 2 different places, at Living Ranger P or at Lightning Fig PR. I'll see you guys for the next episode of whatever, Dino Fury stuff, Zengaiju stuff, whatever we got going on here. Thank you guys for supporting the channel this month. I'll see you guys later. Tokusatsu forever.